Hello guys, it's ZK, and today I'm going to be going over every Black Ops 3 Zombies map from worst to best. And it's actually been quite a long while since I've done one of these videos. Last time I did this was about a month ago with all the World at War maps. So it's been a hot minute since we've actually covered this series. And I apologise for that because I've been busy with other content and also other things. And so with every one of these videos there comes the ground rules which we have to put in place. Number one, I'm not going to be including any Zombie Chronicles maps on this list because they're just remasters of all the existing maps. And also I'm not going to be including the Giant on this list because it's just a remaster of Doris. So with that out the way, let's just get into the video. So coming in at number 5, I've decided to put Zetsubo No Shima here. And I know quite a few people like this map, but me personally, I'm not the biggest fan. It's not one of the best Black Ops 3 Zombies maps, but it's also definitely not one of the worst. And it definitely has some really fun and unique features. For example, Zetsubo No Shima has unique water physics. It's the first map which allows you to swim underwater. And you can even use water to temporarily turn on power, so you can get things like perks and open doors. This is what I really like about Zetsubo No Shima. The player uses the environment around them, like water, to turn things on, like the power, and move around the map. And you even use things like plants and buckets to water plants and stuff. So Zetsubo just has its own unique theme going on. Also, another thing I like about Zetsubo is the wonder weapon is easy to acquire. It does take a little bit of learning how to build it, but once you learn how to build it, you realise how easy it actually is. Obviously, the upgrading part of the weapon, it's a little bit more tedious, which I'll get into more later. But when you do finally build the KT4, the unupgraded version, it's actually really easy to acquire. However, Zetsubo No Shima, it suffers from quite a few issues in my opinion. And one of the biggest issues I think with the map is that there's a big learning curve to it. You do have to know what you're doing on the map in order to succeed. It's not very noob friendly. A new COD Zombies player wouldn't be able to jump on this and just pack a punch and build the wonder weapon. They'll have to look up a guide or something. Also, going back to the wonder weapon setup I was talking about, it is very difficult to upgrade the wonder weapon in my opinion. Well, not really difficult, I'd say it's more tedious. It's a bit more tedious to upgrade the wonder weapon because you got to go to one place and then you got to go to another place, go underwater, water a plant. It's just a little bit tedious to upgrade the KT4. Also, another issue I have with Zetsubo is the lack of training space. I don't really feel like there's enough space to move around zombies. You kind of have to be a bit lucky at times. If you're really good at zombies, then you obviously will get to a high round in this map. But for people who don't know the map very well, it's gonna have to require a lot of luck to get around. Also, another big issue I have with this map is turning on the power and the pack-a-punch. For instance, to turn on the power, you have to go underwater, unblock a turbine, which requires you to stay underwater and kill zombies. And also, there's 3 different rooms you have to go into just to build the pack-a-punch machine. Also, not to mention the perk locations like Juggernog are just awful. Why have they put Juggernog inside the actual facility? You literally have to run on the map, turn 2 temporary power stations on just to open Juggernog, and then you got to go all the way into the underwater area, turn that power switch on. You see what I mean? It's just a massive fetch quest just to get one perk online. And, in my opinion, they could have done it a little bit better, but overall, Zetsubo is actually quite a decent map. So coming in at number 4 is Revelations, and I actually much prefer Revelations over Zetsubo, just because you don't really need to go around the whole map collecting parts, building weapons. The wonder weapons are easy to acquire, you just got to get them out the box. The pack-a-punch is easy to acquire, you just got to turn on them for areas and then just wait till an Apothicon gets trapped, and it's a great map for both new players and advanced players. And also what I like about Revelations is that all of the old maps are returned back, like they're all mashed together, and they're not exactly like copied and pasted, which is what I like. Like they've at least gone to the effort of changing up the old maps, like mashing them together. And another feature which I really like is how everything's linked to Nacht, as if to honour the original Zombies map. I really like how they've like linked everything just to one map, Nacht and Toten. However, Revelations, for me, I'm not a big fan of it, if I'm honest. Like, it's a bit too easy. All you gotta do is get the Apothicon Servant, the Thunder Gun, the Ray Gun out the box, and you're basically set for high rounds. Like, there's nothing really too challenging about Revelations, that's the only real issue with it. And it's also impossible to die on Revelations because you got the Apothicon Servant. I mean, you have to be the biggest idiot in the world to go down with an Apothicon Servant. But if you're a new player who hasn't played Revelations before, I guess you can kind of give them the benefit of the doubt. Also, another problem I have with Revelations is in my opinion, they could have done something a little bit more original. Like, mashing all the original maps together, it's not bad, but I mean, we've already got things like Zombie Chronicles, which I know came out after Revelations, or I don't know if it did actually, it probably came out before, but you get what I mean. Like, we already have Zombie Chronicles, mashing remastered maps together, I don't know, it just felt a bit cheap in my opinion. But overall, Revelations is not a bad map, it's just a bit too easy. Yeah, you can literally just sit in the corner of an Apothicon Servant, get to around 100. So coming in at the number 3 spot is Gorod Krovi. And I actually quite like Gorod Krovi, although many people say it's overrated. I mainly like Gorod Krovi because of the atmosphere. Like, the map atmosphere is just so cool. Like, you just see dragons flying everywhere. You can see the odd gunfire in the background, explosions, etc. It's just so interesting to look at. Also, not to mention you can actually ride on the dragon as well. Like, you can literally get across from one side of the map to the other with the dragon. And the fact that it's got its own unique cutscene for that as well is pretty damn cool. Like, if you play Gorod Krovi like 500 times, that cutscene's not really going to be very interesting to you. But for new players, it definitely sets the atmosphere very well. Also, another thing I like about Gorod Krovi is they brought back some old weapons, such as the PPSH, which fits very well with Gorod Krovi as it's basically based in Stalingrad. And the PPSH is one of them iconic COD Zombies weapons, like everybody loves this weapon. So bringing this back will definitely bring more players to the game. And let's be honest, the main reason why we played Gorod Krovi was because of the PPSH. Like, at least that was one of the main reasons. Also, Gorod Krovi introduced a new ray gun concept as well. Like, instead of a burst fire ray gun, you got like 2 ray guns, one of them firing like mini Apothicon Servant portals, although they're not that strong. Also, not to mention, you can also make those portals stronger by shooting it with a ray gun. My only issues with Gorod Krovi is the map layout can be a little bit confusing to new players. It's not exactly one of those maps which are noob friendly. Although the power is easy to acquire, all you got to do is go to the other side of the map, turn it on. There's no fetch quest like Zetsubo where you have to go underwater and turn it on, like, well, it's trying to survive a horde of zombies, which is one good thing which Gorod has going for it. It's got an easy power system. However, I feel like there's very little space to train on Gorod Krovi. Like, I don't know what it is, but I feel like the map is just very cramped. But then again, you do have a Ray Gun Mark III, which is actually quite powerful, so I guess this sort of makes up for that issue. But then again, the Ray Gun Mark III isn't the most powerful thing in the world, but it does get the job done very well. Also, not to mention the robots and the mini-bosses can be kind of annoying at times, like the drones with the arms which hit you. They can be a little bit of a pain in the arse, but apart from that, Gorod Krovi overall is not a bad map. Alright, so this is where the list starts to get interesting, because coming in at number 2 we have Shadows of Evil. Because Shadows of Evil, it's one of those maps which has a big learning curve to it. Like, you do have to know what you're doing on Shadows of Evil to succeed. And I remember when this map first came out, many people actually didn't like it, but the more they learned the map, like the more they actually enjoyed it. And Shadows of Evil, it's one of those maps which you had to learn to enjoy. At first I didn't really like Shadows of Evil either, I thought it was a bad map, but the more I played it, the more I understood it. Whereas before, if I didn't learn it, I would probably put this like really low on the list. Another issue with Shadows of Evil is the map relies on RNG. Like, for example, the Apothecary Servant, you have to get like a part for that from the pods, which can be a little bit tedious and a little bit annoying. But to be fair, that's really all the issues with Shadows of Evil I can pick out. Like, there's really not that much. And one thing I do like about Shadows of Evil is the unique atmosphere and the theme it goes for. Everything from the perk jingles to the map music, it's just so perfect in Shadows of Evil. And I think Shadows of Evil is the only map in COD Zombies which has its own unique perk jingles apart from Mob of the Dead. And also Shadows of Evil has its own unique cast, which each has their own backstory, which does actually add some depth to the map. It adds a bit of storyline to it. And although it's not exactly important in the zombie storyline, it is still quite significant in terms of the zombie story. Another thing I like with Shadows of Evil is how they took inspiration from Mob of the Dead. For example, you can use beast mode to climb around the map, turn power on, like knock things down. They basically took Mob of the Dead's concept and like built on it. So not only do you just zap things like Mob of the Dead, but you also like grapple onto stuff, and you can do more with the beast mode than what Mob of the Dead has to offer. And that's what I really like about this map. Like, they took an already perfect map like Mob of the Dead and improved on it, which is pretty impressive. And also they introduced one of the most powerful wonder weapons in the game, such as the Apothecary Servant. And once you've built it in Shadows of Evil, that's it. You're basically like set for high rounds. The only issue with the Apothecary Servant is you can't upgrade it in the Shadows of Evil map, but you can do that in Revelations. But yeah, overall, Shadows of Evil is just one of those unique zombies maps which you don't see every day. It's one of those maps which you have to learn first in order to appreciate. Alright, and finally, coming in at the number 1 spot is the Eisendrache. And honestly, there's very little things I can say wrong about the Eisendrache. It's basically a perfect map. It's perfect for every kind of playstyle, whether you're a casual zombies player, high rounds player, you can just hop on this map and have fun. The Pack-a-Punch machine is easy to build. All you gotta do is find 2 areas on the map, just interact with it, and you've already got the Pack-a-Punch machine. Also, power is really easy to turn on. You just gotta find the switch, just flick it on, and that's it. You've basically got power. Like, you don't even need to build the bows to have fun on this map. Like if you're a casual player, you can just sit in the corner, get to high rounds. It's pretty fun. And if you're one of those players who like to run around train zombies, this map also supports both training and camping. There's plenty of space to move around and train some zombies, meaning it's very hard to go down. And if you got a bow with you, and you upgraded it, you're going to be in for a really easy time. Also, not to mention, you can also call trams, which give you like power-ups, like double points, max ammos. However, you do have to find some fuses from zombies, which don't drop very commonly. Finally, one thing I like about the Eisendrache is the bows. The bows are honestly one of the most powerful wonder weapons in the entire game. Not just the entire game, but the entire COD Zombies franchise. Basically making this map really easy to get to high rounds on. You could easily reach round 30 with an upgraded bow. And like I said before, there are very little negative things you can say about the Eisendrache, but if I had to pick out a couple, I would probably say the upgrading wonder weapon system. Like, I'm one of those players who like to get the wonder weapon as strong as it is. I don't really want to have to upgrade it as soon as I get it. So for me, I'm not really a big fan of upgrading wonder weapons. I prefer to just get the wonder weapon and use it. And also another complaint that I have, and this is literally just a small complaint, it's nothing major, but some of the perk locations are a little bit terrible. Like for example, Juggernog, you have to run all the way around the map. Like, you have to go the long way round just to get the power switch, and then you got to run all the way back round just to get to the Juggernog machine, which is near the starting area, but you can't access it because you have to turn the power, which means you have to go all the way around the map. That is just a little picky thing I can pick out from this map, but overall there's nothing really much else to say. That this map is basically pretty much perfect. Like, the Eisendrache, it takes everything from every Black Ops 3 Zombies maps and just improves on it. Alright, well, that is it from me, and I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to like and subscribe for more COD Zombies content. I do upload COD Zombies content weekly, so if you want to keep up to date with the latest COD Zombies news, or if you're looking for some custom map playthroughs, then I've got it all on the channel. Just check it out, and if you like it, then do consider subscribing. But yeah, that is it from me, and I'll see you next time.